Welcome, Chiefs Kingdom, to another episode of The Aftermath. I'm your host tonight, CJ Jones, with my buddy, my friend, Chris Timpany. Chris, how are we doing on another hot, humid, expensive, but also very rewarding summer, my friend?
Man, doing good. 80 days up till football, and you've been killing it with those countdowns.
I
Anyone
hope y'all
following the
like it. I'm working
page,
very hard on those, too.
dude, it's fun.
I
Every time I
almost
post it,
forgot. No, I'm joking. I completely almost forgot one day.
but dude, we're in 80 days away. Dog days of summer for real. Especially when the baseball team's as bad as that it is. But we don't need to
We're
talk
not
about
talking
them.
about that right now,
We need
Chris.
to talk about what the team actually worth a damn, and the Kansas City Chiefs. And it's tough. There's the closest thing to news you're gonna get this around time of year with the mandatory mini camps and whatnot. But man, just grinding through this summer. CJ, what about yourself?
A long summer, man. It's crazy. It felt like it's been long, but it really just got started because like
Right.
we're in June. We still got July and August. I guess the biggest news we've gotten is they announced the training camp dates. So I think they said training camp will start July 23rd in old St. Joseph, Missouri, where we're
Oh,
always at.
yeah.
So that's fun. So get the dates out there so people can start planning. I had a couple friends that are going to come in town that are really excited. Some of them have never been to actually training camp, so this is an experience for them. So that's always a fun time of the year. And like Chris said, it's the dog day, so we're just trying to figure out a way to muster through these next 3 or 4 weeks till we get actual football content as we talk about. So
Right. No NBA anymore. Hockey's done. Baseball sucks. And so, like, what do you do right
that
now?
little
But
30-day period is rough, bro. It's
you know what you do? You talk about contract negotiations and people not showing up to events. And so that's where we're going to start
rough.
because
Oh
that's what
boy,
everyone's talking about.
here
But
we go.
hey, I've been on records. Every time we bring it up, which obviously is a lot, I always say, I thought this was one of the first dominoes that had to fall. And we're still here at the end of June, and Chris Jones is not. It doesn't even seem like they're close on the contract negotiation right now, and he's missing some stuff. He's didn't show up to mandatory manicate, which why would he anyway? Even if he had a new deal, like I'd try to get out of that if I was a big old vet like him. And then didn't show up to the ring ceremony, which was a little bit more surprising to me. But what's kind of the bigger deal for you, CJ? The mini camp or the ring ceremony?
Really neither. I had a feeling, like honestly, I had a feeling he wasn't going to show up to the to mini camp. I was also not surprised that he didn't come to ring ceremony because I'm like, well, for one, this is his second ring. He already wins at the first ceremony, which that one to some people doesn't count because obviously it was COVID back in 2020, so it was separated. But overall, like, and then he actually tweeted, he responded to some fan today who said, "I wonder why Chris Jones wasn't there." He said he was sick. So take it for what it's worth. Some people believe it, some people may not. Me and Chris kind of gave it the side eye, and I'm like, I've kind of been in a locker room as a player, so I'm like, I don't really care about all the theatrics and stuff. I know the deal's going to get done, and I know Chiefs Kingdom is sitting on edge because they all want to see it. So we could say it all we want, we could scream it from the mountaintops, and me and Chris and guys on 610 and every other radio show you could think of are going to say we know the deal's going to get done. But until it actually happens, Chris, and that alert come across your phone, and you start retweeting and calling your buddies and blah 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 blah, people are going to keep finding ways to be upset. I've never ever in 1 second that doubt the deal was ever going to get not get done. Um, it kind of it is what it is. It's part of the process. Guys don't show up for certain stuff. It is kind of weird that you miss a ring ceremony, especially for such an emotional victory in a ring that we got that year, and especially all the adversity we had to overcome. But I mean, it is what it is, man. It's part of the business. Guys don't show up for certain things, and people wish they did, and then they just didn't happen. So at this point, it's a waiting game now. But to Chris's credit, last time he had a contract extension, it did happen in July, right around
Okay.
training camp. So if we're right on theme, it'll happen around that same timeline. But I do people wish they could have saw his face at a ring ceremony. That would have been cool. But I mean, the man made a decision. A lot of guys. He wasn't the only guy that didn't come. Orlando Brown Jr. didn't show up. Frank Clark didn't show up. Chris didn't show up. I know some of those guys aren't on the team anymore, but overall, I think Juan Thornhill did show up for his. So some guys are there, some guys wasn't. I mean, it kind of is what it is. It's a decision. Um, only thing I can say is hopefully we get another one so he can go to the next ceremony. But I mean, Chris made a decision. He wasn't there. He said he was sick, so I'm gonna take the man for his word, and we just got to take that. What it is, what it is.
Yeah, I think his personality adds to the story because Chris is always talking and he's whether it's actually through the mic or through Twitter or Instagram, those
Cricket
IG
season and
stories,
stuff like
like
that.
he's always speaking a little bit, and so I think that's what kind of adds some juice to the story a little bit. I was surprised though he didn't show up to the ring ceremony, like you said. Juan Thornhill was there, I think McCole was there, Juju showed up.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, and these guys were at the White House, including Chris Jones,
He did show up for
not
that
too
one.
long ago. So it's like, why is the line at something at
Yeah.
something even a bigger deal than the White House? I think. I mean, I don't know how Chris feels, but that's in my opinion, I think getting that second ring with your brothers in your home stadium is at least on par with going to the White House. So I think that means I have to believe him that he's sick. But I totally get anyone who's being like, man, bro, you just didn't want to show up. Like, this is, that doesn't mean nothing. Do you think he was sick or
I mean, guys, I've had coworkers get sick in the middle of the summer, so it's not very often it happens, but I've seen people get sick in the summertime. But I mean, it is what it is, man. He made a decision, he didn't come, so even more so of a reason to get the deal done. So if you think he's trying to send a cryptic message, which people think he's doing apparently in his post, so
let's play devil's advocate because I feel like this hasn't been. Don't talk about this side of it much because everyone just assumes it's going to get done because it should. It makes too much sense for both sides. The defense goes from top 12 to 10ish to 20, 23rd kind of range. Without him. But what happens if this deal doesn't get done? Like, what's the repercussion? Like, they just end up staying miles apart. Chris is asking for too much, and the Chiefs aren't budging. Like, what would that mean? We don't spend too much time on it because it is a small percentage chance. But like, we're not even entertaining that as a possibility as we get deeper into the summer.
Exactly. I mean, if for the sake of the argument, if it didn't happen, I was like Chris's point, we would take our defense from potentially a top unit to one of the elite units in the league to a bottom 10, bottom 12 unit in the league. It would change everything for our defense. We know what 9-5 means to us. He sets the tone for us defensively. Teams game plan for him. They double team him, triple team him, slant Jake their coverages and the way they're alignment, their approach to the game plan, and how do we stop Chris Jones. So him not being there would change everything for us because we're not allowed to send pressures like we want to and play certain coverages we want on the back end because we don't have that guy up front that's getting pressure on the quarterback and kind of crushing and not contain it, like breaking the pocket so the quarterback doesn't have a way to go, kind of forcing to one side or the other, which is what Chris Jones does a great job of doing, kind of cutting the field in half. Because you push a quarterback to one side as a DB, all right, he's pushing him left. I know he's probably going to make a throw going towards our left. So he sets everything up. He's a defensive player of the year candidate for a reason. I actually think some of the tweets, Chris, in my opinion, when he says he's coming for it all, obviously he wants his money. I think he's kind of motivated to say, well, why wasn't I the DPOY last year? Which and I would agree. He played like one. I thought he should have got it in my opinion, but played well in the biggest moments too. But we know it's a regular season award, so those playoff sacks probably didn't count towards the standing. But he's a guy that's definitely in the prime of his career right now. He's playing the best football we've ever seen from him in the biggest moments when we needed him too, which is most important. And outside of Aaron Donald, I don't think you can name a better D tackle in football than him right now. And Aaron Donald being the standard of arguably a top 5 D lineman or top 5 defensive player all time in NFL history, that's not a bad guy to be compared to. So Chris Jones is playing out of his mind this past 2 years. He's definitely lived up to the hype and not trying to shortchange it by any means necessary. He deserves his money. Chris, he deserves whatever he wants. If he wanted the 28 mil, give it to him. If he wanted 29 or 27, whatever, give it to him. Because he's earned it and he's played that way. And we need him because without him, you're at this point of the season or the offseason, you can't trade him for value to help the team now. Compared to the Tyreek move, which happened prior to the draft, you're allowed to use those picks to help build your roster. So we all say, it's going to get done. But if it didn't get done, that's the ramifications that would definitely happen to our football team for sure.
Yeah, and he's the base of the totem pole. You got a totem pole with 3 players. You got Pat at the top, Kelsey in the middle, and Jones kind of anchoring that because obviously those first two guys are Hall of Fame caliber, up conversation greatest of all time. But I don't know if this team is 2-time Super Bowl champs without that base of that pillar of Chris Jones because of what he means to this team. So, yeah, definitely agree with you. Like again, that's why we don't entertain the idea of this deal not getting done very often.
Yeah, for the production.
Because it just doesn't make sense for either side, really. But you got to throw a wrench in this worst case scenario. I do think L'Jarius Sneed and Nick Bolton start licking their lips if this deal doesn't get done. That means there's going to be money on the books for them to get paid next off season. But they still may be able to finagle that around. Well, we can talk about that, next season when it gets a little bit more, bit more relevant.
I understand why Chiefs fans are on the edge. The last player we had that was up for a contract, they got a trailer coming across their phone. So I understand why people have PTSD about this, but Chiefs Kingdom, don't worry, the deal's going to get done. I'm really not. I think one of the guys in Chiefs Kingdom posted a tweet saying on a scale of 0 to 10, how worried are you? Or a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you about the deal? I said 0.
Yeah.
Like I'm not worried not one bit. So.
Right. Dude, I'll never forget that Tyreek news.
That was crazy.
I was in a Nebraska Furniture Mart buying the first couch of my adult life. So,
Let's go.
So me and my wife were out there picking out a couch, and I'm on my phone just being like, "What is happening?"
He's like, huh?
I don't even know if I like my couch out there now. You know, I wasn't too into the decision.
That couch scarred me. He's like, I hate that couch. That couch sucks. Every time I look at it.
Tyreek Hill, I was just messing.
Tyreek Hill. Yeah.
Oh man, you know one player that I did want to talk briefly. It's been like 2 minutes about, but like who also hasn't shown up to anything is Clyde. Like
I thought he was at some of the.
No, he's at minicamp.
Yeah, minicamp. Yeah, he was there.
And then he didn't show up to the ring ceremony.
Like, I saw a picture. He was there. He was
at the ring ceremony.
Yeah, there's a picture of him and Kadarius Toney.
Oh, I thought he missed it. Okay, we don't have to talk about.
I almost thought he wasn't there too. You know how the Kingdom feels about 2-5.
I was like, if he wasn't there, we were about to talk about maybe like,
bro, they would have
so salty. He'll be in town.
Like, oh gosh, I got lost.
Okay, that makes more sense.
God, but no, you're not the only one. A lot of people thought he wasn't there, and that photo then I didn't see it until a couple of days after.
Gotcha.
A lot of people thought he didn't show up. So you saw the presser he did the other day, right?
Yeah, you could tell he was hurt when he got.
I could tell why he's like not as like present as a lot of people want him to be. I mean, in that situation, you would have probably felt the same way. So I would just advise fans to be mindful. Hey, these people are human, bro. Like I know the players, we want them to do everything with a smile on their face. They have emotions just like you do. If your boss lied to you about trying to work that day, and then right before game time says, "Hey, you're not going to perform," like, well. You could have gave me a heads up and say, hey, you may or may not play. He was said leading up to the week, he thought he was guaranteed to suit up. And then they just said, pull the plug on it. So,
right. Like you're a first round pick. You've had your ups and downs with injuries.
You played well last year when
you've had your ups and downs with fans.
Yep.
And then for the actual team, the one place that you've actually like had faith in to like not actually tell you and you just find out with no jersey in the locker.
Walking into the locker, that's nasty. And
that's
Super Bowl, that's crazy. That's
the coldest thing I've ever heard the Chiefs.
I ain't gonna lie, that would hurt anyone, bro. So I'm not mad at the way he reacted.
Yeah, I almost have more of I don't know if respect's the word, but like compassion towards the whole client. Empathy, all that. It's like, bro, I can't. I'd probably act worse than you, man, if that was me. So, like, respect to you. Like, I ain't showing up to anything I don't need to, but I guess you.
No, I mean that's not what it is. Unfortunately, players don't always get that. I don't think a lot of Chris. I asked a lot of fans. They don't know that players. When they get active, it's not always their decision. Like you can say I want to play, but if a team inactivates you, it's not always your choice to play. So I would hopefully fans be mindful. If a player is not suiting up or he is suiting up, it's not always their decision. It may be the team's decision to say, hey, you can or can't go. So just be mindful of those things during the season when you're seeing guys on questionable, probable that week in their status and they're inactive or they're active. Just be mindful of those decisions as well, for sure.
Definitely be mindful of those because sometimes they want to get an extra look at a guy or keep an extra guy active for an extra week, and they're gonna sideline you that extra week. So for sure, CJ. I'm gonna take a quick break, and when we'll be right back, we're gonna talk about a few more trivial things in this slow off season.
What up, KC? On the heels of yet another Kansas City Super Bowl victory, we have an awesome opportunity for you to broadcast your business to the local Kansas City market. We've created something called Kansas City Sports Company, which is a sports media hub for multiple live shows, all of which cover all the local Kansas City teams. Now, we have 30-second ad spots, 60-second ad spots, we have event sponsorships, studio sponsorships, show sponsorships, and much, much more. This is a great opportunity for you to start early with us and broadcast your business to a very dedicated, very enthusiastic Kansas City audience. Contact me or hit the Contact Us link on our website to learn more about this opportunity.
This slow off season. All right, welcome back to the Aftermath Podcast. Still in the dog days of summer, CJ. Getting hot too. It's hot down here in Oklahoma. I can't imagine it's getting hot in Kansas City too.
It's humid, bro. It's so humid, bro.
Oh my gosh, the humidity is the worst. But you know what keeps heating up, and it's the fans' favorite topic.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's crazy, but I don't think you and I have really talked about it much. Is why is everyone obsessed with Justin Ross in this receiving corps?
Hey, we gotta have somebody to be hype up every summer. Last summer it was probably who was the most hyped guy last summer? Coming into camp was it Pacheco? You would think. Who's the most
Or
hyped guy?
Fortson. Jody always gets a lot of traction.
Jody gets a lot of love, especially after that preseason game he had. He had 3
Especially after
touchdowns
the
versus
preseason.
Commanders. I'll probably say either Jody or Pacheco are probably the 2 most hyped guys last season that we were really.
Sky was talked about a little bit.
Sky this summer has been way more hyped up than last year.
Well, I was about to say the exact opposite. I was like, Sky coming into this second year, I feel like we ain't talking about him at all. We're talking about Ross instead.
Sky, I'm defending you every day, dog.
I know you are. I know, yeah. Like, I'm excited for Sky more as well. But, like, I just feel as a fan base, there's so much more attention on this kid who probably isn't even going to make the team.
That's the exact point right there. They're going crazy over guy, and I love Justin Ross. I want him on this team because I know he can play. But I advise fans, and this is where like fandom and actually X's and O football are 2 different conversations. Is Justin Ross good enough to play on this football team? Absolutely. Is there a guarantee way he made this football team? Absolutely not. He's not a lock. If we're talking about the receivers right now, of course, there are locks. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, MVS is a lock. Kadarius Toney, KT is a lock. Sky Moore is a lock. Our new drafted receiver, Rashid Rice, is a lock. In my opinion, my humble opinion, I think Justin Watson's a lock.
They just paid him. Yeah.
They just paid him. And he plays special teams. Tobe likes him and Pat likes him. So you got 2 check marks right there. So that's 5. So we carried 6 receivers last year. So
Richie James is so much more of a lock.
Yeah. Richie can play special teams. He can do punt return and kick return. And I'm sure he's willing to do gunner on any other situation.
He was all right on the Giants. What, 400-some yards last
year? Exactly. And he's actually available and he's consistent. So if Justin Ross beats out Richie, I'm not saying he can't do that. He can beat him out for the 6th spot. I'm just saying it's not guaranteed to happen. And even if he does play well, that doesn't still get – because we know Justin Ross doesn't have any special teams value. He's not a returner. He's not really an overall speedster. So outside of catching the football, what does he offer to the team? So you have to be in that top 4 to be a lock, to be a guy say, I don't need to play special teams to affect this team. But Justin Ross is not in that top 4, so he has to play special teams. Right. So if he doesn't, how does he get that 6th spot? Like, do we carry 7 receivers? It's highly unlikely. I think 6 is the solid number. So I want Justin Ross on this football team as much as anybody else. And if injuries happen, trust me, he'll be the first one. Me and Chris will be, hey, that's the guy that should get called up. But it's just not a lock that he's on this roster. And I hate to say it because I love the kid. Like, Justin Ross can play. We know how good he is. We see the catches with pads, without pads. We know what kind of guy he is. It's hard to make an NFL roster when you don't offer 2-way specialty ability in this league, especially when you're not available to play special teams, let alone can you play it. He hasn't been available to play because he's been hurt. So.
Right, I was just about to say, you were saying the only way he makes his team is with an injury, but he's the most likely guy to suffer an injury.
So he has 2 things going.
And then KT is probably a second behind him, but like.
Exactly. So no, I'm rooting for Justin, man. I want him on the team, bro. I really do. I just advise fans, just don't be sick if we see those cuts come in through July and August, and we see Justin Ross got waived. So just be prepared for the moment because it could happen. I'm not saying I wish it was. I hope he makes the team. Just be prepared for the moment.
It's just highlights from 3 years ago on college football. Has you excited about what this kid can do after several injuries and never playing in the NFL? Like, again, I'm with you. Like, it would be a great story. Clearly, the kid has talent. Like, all that is appropriate. But to turn it into what we're turning it into, we're currently feeding into it a little bit with this, he's going to come in and set the world on fire because of this crazy talent. It's not something realistic to get excited about. If it happens, great. The NFL will run with it, and all you will see in the media is Patrick Mahomes' new target and Justin Ross. Like, even if he has, 8 catches for 100 yards on the year, like, that's what we'll see a lot.
The national media, they're actually worse than the local media. You see guys like Peter Schrager talking about who are the breakout receiver candidates for across the league, and they're talking about guys like George Pickens, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave.
All these actual choices.
Like legit receivers who had good rookie seasons. He throws in Justin Ross. I'm like, huh? I was like, the kid that's probably not going to make the team. I'm like, you didn't even say
the Falcons. Is he going to make an impact on like the Falcons?
That's what I'm saying. So he's going to make a team somewhere else. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like for local fans to get excited about this, not even like the fans who don't live in Kansas City. So all they get is basically like national media. So when they see a guy like Peter Schrager, which I don't like it when the national media uses their powers for evil, because this is the conversation we have to have around the city. Do you think Justin Ross is going to make the team? I'm like, bro, I love Justin Ross. He's just not a guarantee. It's really not. And I'm not even hating on him. It's just I just named 5 receivers that are probably going to make this football team or locks. So how does he make the team realistically? So it's like Chris said, you just kind of got to – the media are going to make a narrative. They're going to run with it. And Justin Ross is definitely the darling of training camp. I'm excited to go to St. Joe because I want to see him play. Regardless if he makes the team or not, I just want to see him in pads because we haven't seen him there in 3 years. So last year we saw him, he didn't even make it to camp because he had a foot injury. So he's recovered well from that. Andy's backed him. and Pat is backing him as well. They both have said he's looked well. He's responded to the rehab and everything he's done in the offseason with the foot surgery. So obviously they're excited about him, but now, like Chris said, we just got to see it. So.
What are you supposed to say when the media is obsessed about
They're more obsessed about him.
7th, 8th receiver on the depth chart? Like, what is Andy and Pat supposed to say? Yeah, the 8 reps I took with him, he did pretty good, and we got a good highlight out of it. Like, bro.
Now, we're talking about like endorsements. One thing I will put stock into is the way Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are talking about Sky Moore, the second round receiver pick from the year before. That's the guy who should be getting most of the talk. Peter Schrager talking about breakout receiver. That's the guy who's, in my opinion, Chris, who's going to lead us in receiving yards for our receiver room. He's going to be our leading target.
He's going to be it. I was going to ask you, I was like, who's going to have more receiving yards, him or MVS?
Sky Moore will be the guy this year. I'm fully confident in what Sky can do. He's obviously, he knew the playbook last year. It was just a lot that Andy threw at him. And Andy said he gave him his props for handling all of that, punt returning when he wasn't used to doing it in college at all, going out there and trying to play in big moments. And we saw him make plays like in the Rams game, the Chargers game, catching a pass in the Super Bowl. Pat gave him his credit for taking all that workload on as a rookie, and he handled it to the best he could. Did he make mistakes along the way? Absolutely. He's not perfect. But for what they did give him, they say he handled it better than any rookie they've ever seen. So I think Sky Moore did a great job last year for what he was given. Now, I expect more things out of 2-4 this year, and I expect he would as well. I expect him to be a major part of this offense in the red zone on third down. I don't expect it to be Travis Kelce or nothing every time we're in second or short and third and short. I expect it to be Sky Moore, you make plays for us now. So I'm excited for him this year. We know how amazing of a route runner he is. We know how great his hands are. People just want to see it consistently now. And I think him having the confidence from not only his teammates, the front office, but his quarterback and his head coach, the guys that are mainly ones you're in a constant communication with, I expect a big year out of Sky Moore. So I'm super, super, super excited for him this year. That's the guy that's going to be our dog.
I expect a huge bump just as well. My thing is if Sky Moore plays 17 games, but Kadarius Toney only plays like 13, I'm still giving Kadarius the yards, in my opinion, because of how the Chiefs are talking about him.
They're
it's
both
just,
have a very yards.
His injury history, makes it a little
that's
bit
why I can't pick KT. I don't trust him.
That's what I'm saying. 13, if he can play in 13 games and only miss, 4 or so, I think I'm giving the edge to Kadarius.
13 games would be amazing.
I know. Anything
I'm under that, 10. I just hope we get 10 out of it. 13 would be ecstatic. Yes.
I think 10.5 would be the over-under.
Oh, yeah, 10, that's definitely the line. 10.5 over.
10.5
like, if he gets 11 to 13, like that would be amazing for him.
Right. So anything less than 13, though, and if Sky stays healthy all year, I think Sky takes it receiving. I'm really interested on MVS, too, second year in the offense, and, we saw him come on a little bit. I know he didn't have a great Super Bowl, but the playoff games, he was a huge impact.
The Cincinnati, he had the best playoff performance out of any receiver.
Yeah.
Out of all the playoff performances that run, he had the best performance. The one we had 8 for 165 and a touchdown versus the Bengals, best performance. I was like, wow. That wasn't on my bingo card. The best playoff performer last year for receiver-wise was MVS.
Exactly. So
all you haters out there, watch your mouth.
Right. He's definitely a wild card. I think
now
that I'm thinking about it.
Chris, say it.
And now that I'm thinking about it, I might have Sky third if Kadarius plays 13 games.
If Sky's third, that means they're both 2 are cooking.
They're being really close, and it's tough to tell just because I don't know. I like bigger receivers like MVS, and he did have a decent season, last year. He had a very MVS season. He had basically what we were expecting.
Yeah.
But second year in the offense with, a couple more threats around, man, I don't know. I like the receiver room with Kadarius Toney healthy.
Absolutely. Everybody loves it that way. But obviously, you heard that the whole vision of everything, it's
the whole vision.
Like you can manage a week or 2 weeks without him, but a long-term stretch, nobody wants to see KT miss games because then we have to depend on
rookies or Watson and that's
like Richie James. Those guys are going to have to get major reps. And you can do that for a game or two. You just don't want to do that for long stretches. So, and obviously that's the kind of the point of having a deep receiver room. That's why the 7 receiver thing isn't too crazy because we saw the playoff game when we lost Juju and then KT
Marcus
went down.
Kemp had to go out there.
Marcus Kemp had to make a big catch on 2nd and 7 to convert a first down for Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game. Who would have called that? Nobody. Right. A guy that we cut and signed like every other year. So shout out to Marcus Kemp. I posted him too on our account.
Yeah, you did. I was so happy you used him for the 85.
Yeah.
Man. That was
you saw the catch. Yeah. I mean, he made plays. I had to give it to him.
And then the Moeaki yesterday,
the Tony Moeaki post went crazy. People
I can't believe you didn't use Blake Bell.
Hey, bro, I had to give a shot. I try to alternate. I try to go older guys, young guys. I'm trying to go back and forth everybody's getting on like, why didn't you post this guy? I'm like, well, I can't post.
You gotta pick one.
I gotta pick somebody. I just say, well, I don't want to be predictable all the
I
time.
feel that.
Outside the obvious guys like Tony G, like Trav,
Yeah.
Chris, I gotta post those guys. But all the other numbers, I'm like, let me test people's memory. Who remembers Tony Moyaki? They're like, bro, that was like 13 years ago. I'm like, you remember him? Yeah, that one hand catch. I found the clip.
Yes. Coldest catch, Matt Castle in the back of the end zone against the Niners, man. And Mitch Holt's call on that is incredible too. So, like all of his calls are. But
the finish off the point. I saw him at the Royals game too. Shout out to Mitch. I saw you, man. That's what's up.
Yeah, it was Chiefs Day. He had to be here. The only way you're going to be at the Royals games if you have to be at this point.
I was walking. He's like, "Where's your security?" I'm like, "I'm trying to roll with you. You got a security."
We have made too many references to the worst team in baseball this episode. We need to knock it off. We need to knock it off.
Shout out to Bobby Witt with another stolen base today.
Hey, Bobby playing all right.
Bobby's playing, man. Now the rest of y'all got
on. Last thing I did want to talk about though, CJ, before we get out of here is, I don't know, did you see the new quarterback? What is it? The promo, the trailer for Netflix that's going to be following Marcus Mariota. All right, first round pick, got cut, kind of interesting. Kirk Cousins, who I think is going to be good in this.
Monday Night Hurt.
I'm excited to see Kirk in this documentary. But then your Super Bowl MVP, Mr. Patrick Mahomes himself. Man, that trailer was so cool. I watched it like 4 times in a row, man. I absolutely loved it. What's your excitement level for this?
I mean, anytime you get behind the scenes footage for NFL players, really any athlete, people are gonna, go crazy over it. And we love football. As football is the best sport in America that gets the most money, the most attention, the biggest draw. So you have Hard Knocks, in-season Hard Knocks. You got the franchise that we do for the Chiefs, and other teams do their similar things as well. So anytime you get off the field footage where people get to see what Pat Mahomes was doing the week he hurt his ankle, as far as like treatment and recovery, how is he handling becoming a father? Actually, he's a father of 2 beautiful children now. How he handled becoming a husband and then winning his second championship in 4 years. So it's always good to see guys to see their human side outside of the player, and it's good for fans to keep things in perspective, because I know we always treat these players like they're bigger than life at times. But at the end of the day, if you saw these guys in public or saw them at home, they act just like you and me. They're just really good at their job, but they're normal people. So I think it's good for fans to see this so they can actually keep things in perspective for all athletes, not just football players, but to always remember that as much as you get mad about a player not making a play, nobody wants to make that play more than him. And how do you think his wife or his daughter or son or parents feel when they understand and they see their son or daughter not making a play or getting hurt? Even like knock on wood, even more so. So It's always great for fans to see these type of things. It just keeps everything relevant now to make you think about the other side of that life, more inside the player than inside the helmet and outside of it just as well. So
yeah, you know what it's going to be. I'm excited for is I don't know how many episodes there are of this documentary. Yeah, I haven't seen that either. But the last episode is just going to be all packed because Marcus Mariota gets cut on his birthday halfway through the year, which will be interesting.
I remember that through the middle of the season.
But he'll be done. And then Kirk gets knocked out while the Chiefs are on their bye. Yeah, Kirk gets knocked out during the wild card, and so once at that point, Pat's got 3 games, including the Super Bowl left. It's just going to be the Patrick Mahomes show that last episode or 2, and it's going to be the first look at the document. Whenever his version of The Last Dance comes out, it's going to.
It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope.
Get a little sneak peek on this.
It's even better because we won it all this year. That's why it can be that even much better.
It's so cool. And
I love behind the scenes footage. That's why I love our franchise episodes. I watch them all at least twice. So they're all
right. They're so good. Let's just say that I think we can all agree when he hit that move against the Bucks to Clyde, and his first thought was to get up and be like, I'm like that. It was just so cold. Even out of his voice, it was still so cold, man.
I'm like that. I'm like that. I mean, after when you make a play like that, I expected him to say that after that Denver play, the shovel pass to Jared McKinnon. When he threw that, that's the moment where you stay and look at the Denver sideline like, I'm just like that. And as an opponent, you really can't get mad. Bro, he just made that play. That's 2 iconic plays he's done in Denver: the left-hand pass and the right-hand shovel pass. So if he's running toward the sideline in Denver, they're holding their breath because they know he's going to do something crazy. So Pat has so many iconic plays and so many crazy moments. And for him to do that in that moment, like Chris said, if I'm Pat, I'm patenting that and putting a shirt so fast. I'm standing on the sideline, Adidas symbol. I'm like that. Shirts are going to be on sale as soon as the TV show comes out. If that's me, that's what I'm doing. Hey, Pat, you're welcome. If you need a marketer, let me know, bro. I'm available.
There you go. Hey, CJ shooting a shot to,
Hey,
the
Pat, holla at me,
multi-millionaire
bro.
who's
I
got
got you.
everyone.
You feel me? I'm in the city. Talk to me.
Oh, goodness. Yeah,
Did
it's
you
going to
see
be.
that? Did you see the post? I don't know if it's legit, but his house that he's selling?
I didn't
Yeah,
see
I think
that.
they said the report said he has 3 houses. He just sold one, so I think he has 2 left in the city. But the one he's selling, according to them, was worth like $3 million.
Yeah.
Which
Sounds
is
about right.
but the house looked fire though.
I
It looked
bet.
crazy.
I
Had
bet.
like the biggest
Dude.
backyard ever. It looked like something in LA. I was like, wow.
Dude, those $1 million houses look incredible. I can't imagine what those $3 million
No,
houses
that
look
house
like.
looked crazy. Pat's really got his stake in the city for sure, bro.
Right.
Teams, ownership, housing. He's gonna be in KC for a long time. I just had to throw that in there. That was dope. I saw that. I'm like, that's pretty fire.
Man, just
That many places to live. Oh yeah, go stay in the Kansas house today.
Just blessed every day that this man is quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. So.
Thank you for everything, Pat. We got you, bro.
All right, CJ. Before we get out of here, where can the good people find you? I see that staring at me over there,
You guys can definitely find me on Twitter at CGG81. Shout out to the visual. Shout out to our guys at StreamYard for helping us out. You guys can definitely find me on Twitter. DMs are open for conversations if you want to talk fantasy, bet lines, if you want to talk X's and O's, training camp stories, seasonal predictions. If you got any suggestions for players you want me to post on our countdown, as tomorrow we will be posting number, who are we on, 79. So if you got any, I got some ideas. I got a couple guys in my head. So if you guys got any suggestions, ideas, let me know. But I'm always, you guys can always talk to me. I'm excited about training camp. If you see me in the city, always say what's up. I'm around. So you guys
you tested my sports. Is that Alt? Is that John Alt? Was he 79?
I think was Brandon Albert 79?
Brandon Albert. I thought he was 76. It's been a minute since I've seen.
I think maybe I flipped it. Maybe it's 76.
Did I flip it? Yeah. Either way, I don't know.
I think you're right. I think it was 76. Dang, I thought it was 79.
Man, it's tough. Like these next few weeks are going
to
be fun.
Numbers. I'm going to think like, oh god.
We got through the 80s and now we're in the 70s, 60s.
The 70s, 60s is going to be so hard.
At least once you get to the 50s, you can get some linebackers.
Yeah, 50s, 40s down is going to be easy.
Yeah.
70s, 60s is going to be so tough.
Dude,
I mean, we got guys like Eric Fisher, Mitchell Schwartz, but it's going to be tough.
Willie Ruff and Will Shields will be over these next 20. You got Jared Allen will be obviously.
Jared Allen's 9, yeah.
So there'll be some guys, but it definitely will test some Chiefs knowledge as you
gotta make
can
sure
tell.
Some good guys to put on there. If you guys got clips, send me clips too. I'll post them. I try to make them a little interactive, not just a picture. I try to post the Tony Moriarty play with the pictures, so you can relive the moments.
Right.
Stuff like the Dante Hall one, I posted that with the picture. So try to get everybody involved, so make it interactive.
I love it, man. You've been killing it with that, and that can be found on our social media at the Aftermath _KC.
The Aftermath _KC.
Perfect. We need to put that on here next time too on this visual. But for me, you can follow me on Twitter at 10penny88. I'm stuck in baseball land a little bit, and so I apologize in advance. But we'll definitely keep throwing those football takes as they come across. So appreciate all the support. Also, make sure to check out KC Sports Company. They're the ones that help us hook up with this. They're new. They're trying to find their place in this budding KC Sports media that's taken off. So give them a check out, especially if you're just looking for podcasts or looking to extra places to listen for. We'll be there. So give us a listen and see what else is going on. So, all right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week. We will talk to you next time.
Go Chiefs.